All right, it's 11 o'clock, so we'll get started. Thanks everyone for joining us today for our biweekly free webinars. My name is Kamala, and Jack and I will be presenting this webinar today on terrain tools concepts. And as always, we will be recording today's webinar in case you'd like to watch it again or pass it on to anyone who missed the webinar. My PowerPoint is not working. All right, it's working now. All right, so just before we get started, these are some of the upcoming webinars. Feel free to sign up for them. And yeah, those are the next two. There'll be more to come. So just a quick outline of what we're going to be covering in the webinar today. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about concepts behind some of the functions in terrain, and then Jack will show you how to read in an ASCII file, show you how to work with features, and then we'll do a quick output sheet at the end. So ASCII data includes coordinate data and codes, as I'm sure you all know, and the codes are what group individual points into features. So a feature is a collection of individual points that share the same code. So when you're working with LiDAR or large data sets, it's important to group points into features and not have every point read as an individual feature because this saves memory. So Jack won't be using a LiDAR data set today, but he will be using ASCII data. So. And just a little outline of what we're going to talk about with regards to working with features. I'm going to talk a bit about the concepts of feature properties first, and then Jack will show you how to use them. And he'll also be showing you how to work with images in terrain, and also talk a bit about the status fields window, which have a little screenshot of it there. So he'll be talking about how to use that in terrain modeling. So I'm going to give a quick overview of the first 4 feature properties and how they affect the relationship between a feature and the model. And I have some graphics which will help visualize what each of these properties means. It can be a little bit abstract, so we'll go through them briefly. Hopefully the images will give you an idea of what these first 4 feature properties do. Oh, and as I forgot to mention at the beginning, if anyone has any questions, feel free to use the question panel, and Jack or I will see the questions and answer them as we see them. So this first example is a loose 3D non-tin feature, so you can see the points, obviously, which obviously they're displayed, we can see them, but they're not connected, and they're not part of the model, but they do have elevations. So that gives you a little visualization of what that kind of feature would look like. And here's one that is a loose 2D feature. So again, they're displayed, but they're not connected. They have no elevations, and they're not part of the model. So they're kind of hanging out at the bottom there. This one is the same as the previous one I just showed you, but they're connected. This one here, it's displayed, obviously we can see it. The points are connected. It has elevations, but it's not part of the model. It's kind of going through the model there in that graphic. Here's an example of a loose 3D tin feature. So we have 3 points that are modeled. They're part of the model. They have elevations, but they're not connected. And again, this is similar to the previous one, except they are connected. Now this one is 4 points, a collection of points. They're not connected. They are modeled, so they're part of the model. They don't have their own elevations because they're part of the model. And the straight feature is the same as that previous one I just showed. It's modeled, their points are connected, but no elevations. So those are just a couple visuals of feature properties, as they can be a little bit abstract. And with that, I'm going to pass on to Jack, and he will show you some of these features and tricks and techniques in action.
Thanks, Cam. Yes, thank you very much. I'm just going to start by switching the screen towards me. Good. All right, I'm going to show you how to import some data. As Cam said, that's where we'll start. Import some data. It's an ASCII file, total station file. Go into my module setup, import tab. I've created a couple of import specs here. One has line work. The other one does not have line work. I'm going to start with the line work one, and then I'll come back and import another file, the same file without line work, and show you how to do some other functionality. Let's just take a look at some of the structure first of all. The tab or comma delimited file. The northing is in the second column. Easting is in the third column. Elevation is in the fourth column. Codes are in the fifth column. So these codes are used to connect features together, if you wish so, or group features into layers. The codes are also the feature name as well as a comment. If you want to turn on comments, you can. Here's some of the codes. We have spot codes. These are just point codes that are not connected, and I've elected to not display them either. I'll display them later on. I'll show you some of the selection and modification in our software, and turn on the features and modify them. Control points also are point features, not connected, and yes, they are displayed. The first line work feature that we see is a ditch. It's a polyline, and I have elected to make the ditch not a break line. Break lines are features which force the triangles to stop at them. Ditch are perfect break lines. I have elected not to make the ditch a break line, but I will turn it on later on. I'll show you how to do that after you've imported it. I've done the same thing with my top. The top of banks are actual break lines. They are excellent features. Break lines are features where the slope has an abrupt change. Ditches, top of banks, toes, shoulders. Again, I have elected to turn off the shoulders from having a break line set. Edge of pavements. Break line is, and you can also set the color. You can see that there's colors for each of these codes. This is a centerline code. Driveway, culvert, fence. So that's a little list of all the codes. That'll, again, most of these codes are connected into line work. Some of them are not, like spot, control, and sign. Let's just import our file. File open. Choose my import spec down here, County Road import with line work. Continue. See, there's a whole bunch of features, but they all seem to be line work, except for a couple that are point features out here. Just change my scale so you guys can see this a little bit better. And zoom in. Before I go on to concepts about selecting and modifying features, let me just talk a little bit about how to move around in the plan window. You can pan using the pan hand here. Left click. It only allows you one movement. If you use your center wheel button, most most mice have a center wheel button. Hold that down and you will be able to move in and out at your leisure and move it around, move your plan around. If you roll in on the center wheel button, you can see my line work is getting thicker. As I roll out, it gets thin. That's because my scale is locked. If I unlock my scale, press the lock scale button until it becomes the same color as the rest of the background up here. You can see that my scale changes, my line work becomes thinner, or stays the same size, sorry. If I lock my scale again and set my lock scale, my line work becomes thicker. So it's basically zooming. Selecting features. Let's go on to selecting features. You can select individual features. You can select groups of features with the mouse by on your Shift key. You can add to that selection. Subtract from that selection by clicking on it with the Shift key held down. Add more to the selection. Okay, before I go on too far, you can see that there's 3 features here selected. They're purple or magenta. Now let's talk about the concept of selected features and current feature. The current feature is the feature that has the crosshairs, that contains the crosshairs. And the current feature is the information that you see up here in the status window. The northing, easting elevation and the length of this line are all in the status window here. If I decide to select another feature, you'll see that the information up here in the status window changes. Let me show you different ways of selecting features. I can select features by clicking and dragging on my mouse, or I can select all features by menu first of all, or you can use Control A. I can also select features if I click after I've, let me just show you one thing. If I've selected a group of features and I want to deselect them really quickly, just click on blank space anywhere on your screen and that will deselect all your features. Show you how to select features by layer. I'm going to first of all show you how to create a layer. I've got a layer for my point features called Spot. I'm going to call them point features. And they're called Spot Star. There it is right there. Press OK. So I just created a new layer. Again, our names are layers in our software. So now I can go back to this previous screen. Spot has been added to the list, and I can select all Spot features just by double-clicking on it. Check mark appears. There we go. We got 445 selected features. There they all are. Once you've selected a group of features either with the mouse or with the menu function, I'll show you some more menu function of selection later on as we go along. Then you can modify these features. The whole idea of selecting is to be able to modify them. I'm going to modify the line work. You'll quickly learn that there's a quick stroke key for some of these menu items. Line work has this quick stroke key of Control L. Line and symbol work has quick stroke key of Control L. I'm going to make my symbol larger, cross, large cross. And I'm also going to turn on their, I'm not going to keep their display on, no. I'm just going to let them, click on blank space and they will disappear. But they do have a larger symbol right now. If you want to turn them on, you can. Let's select features, some other methods by name. I can select in the list here just by clicking and dragging. I press select, unselect them, and then you can also select features by going into the advanced section. I'm going to select everything called ditch, and star is a wildcard, so that everything is called ditch. And let's say there's some other letters after ditch, LR. It doesn't matter. It will select all features called ditch. Doesn't matter whether it's a left and right or other designations for ditches. There's 11 ditch features. If I press select, you have to press the select button down in the same part here. They have been selected, you can see here. Press OK. My ditch features have been selected. There they are. There's one right here. It's purple, magenta. There's another one right here. Purple, magenta. Let me select those again just to modify them. I forgot to modify them. Ditch. Star. Select. And I'm going to modify their color and line type. Control L, since I already know that Control L is a quick stroke key for modification. Change their color and their line type to teal and thick medium. And then I can click on blank space. Next thing I'd like to show you is how to generate a tin. Press the Generate Tin button. See, there's contours formed. There's something strange. I can tell by the contours. Let me just do that one more time. I'm going to tighten up my contours a little bit more. 1 meter minors and 5 meter majors. You can see there's something going on over here. You can see it better if you look in the 3D window. We got another window called the 3D window. Window, new window graphics to get at it. 3D. Right over here somewhere. You can see that it looks like my road is spilling over. Just tile these vertically so I can see it better. Select that part. Yeah. To fix that, we have to make sure that these features that are not break lines, you can see down here that the feature is 3D, but it doesn't have a little tilde or a little squiggly beside it, which would indicate that it would be a break line. I can easily fix these contours spilling over my my terrain or my road by turning on some of these features so that they're break lines. I think I have a couple of features here. yeah, the road edge. And let me just select a group of them. Delete my contours first so that they're not in my way. I'm going to select all these features at once. Right click, modify selected features, properties, turn on brake lines so it's fully checked, and then recalculate my contours. I've got a problem. It says that there's a crossing brake line. I'll deal with that right now. But my contours has been fixed. They're no longer doing some strange things on top of the road. To deal with the culvert feature crossing the road, you have to go to a points window. I already know where that feature is, but I'll show you where the points window is. And then I'm going to sort these at X brake. You have to use the X brake attribute to fix this. Shift it up so it's higher up on the list. There it is right there. So the X brake column. Select all features by property. So this is another way of selecting features. I'm going to select features by brake line. Yes. Brake line current state, yes. Make sure that it's checked. So all of my brake line features have been selected. Sort by crossing brake line by clicking on the header up here, and then scroll to the, in this points window, scroll to the side that has the fat part of the arrow. These two features are the culprits right here, the culvert features. Just expand this so you can see culvert 1 and culvert 2. They are crossing. There's a yes. Let me just select these two features. I'm going to just use my mouse. And make sure that they're not brake lines. Can't have crossing brake lines. Go back into my properties. Quick stroke key is Control E. Turn off brake lines. And then recalculate my contours. And my tin. There. Problem fixed. No more crossing brake lines. Image. Image is just another feature. An image is another feature that you can bring in. Let me show you how to bring that in. File, insert file. In this case, it's a BMP, but it could be a TIFF, an ortho TIFF. There's my image. Let me delete all my contours, and then we'll take a look at it in the 3D window. I can drape my plan image. Right-click, active window plan options, drape plan image. There it is. So like I said, an image is just another feature that you can modify. If it's not in the correct location, you can select it and modify it. Right-click, modify selected features. I can rotate it. I can change its coordinates. I can do a whole bunch of modifications on the image also. Change its properties. Okay, I've got a few more minutes. I just want to show you one more how to create a profile and then do an output sheet. I'm going to bring up another terrain that I have here that has a pad. I'm going to create a profile of a pad, draw a draped feature, edit, new feature, section. So this is something that Cam spoke about at the beginning. A draped feature is a feature that is modeled but does not have elevations of its own, and it's connected. And this explains it quite nicely. If the feature has elevations and modeled is set, the feature will be included in the tin model. If the feature does not have elevations, and this is what I want. I want the feature not to have elevations, but have model checked, so that it will take on the elevations of the model. Once I've set that and displayed and connected mouse, I can left click once, left click again to tie it down, go across the center of this pad. Take a look at this in the 3D window, graphics, sorry, in the profile window. There it is, a profile of it. I can move it around. Let's just tile these vertically so you can sort of tile it horizontally so that you can see this. Window tile horizontally. If I move this around to different locations, it will automatically redrape. There are some features here that are projecting on, so I'm going to clear them. So now you can see only the centerline feature. One more thing I'd like to show you is how to create an output sheet really quickly. I'm going to put a plan and profile window, plan and profile subview into my output sheet. Window, new window, multi-plot. Make sure that I have the correct scale. Edit, new subview, plan. Change my scale, double click. General, change it to 2000. Move my plan up to the top. Add my next piece of information, my profile. Profile. Change that scale. Double click. Options. If you want it exaggerated, you can. I'm not going to have it exaggerated. I'm just going to put it as 2000, 2000. And then shift it over so that it's more centered. Using the shift arrows, it will tell me that my subview is set to scroll with the main profile window. Do you wish to scroll manually instead? Yes. There. And then center it on the page. Or put it down at the bottom of the page, just below the plan window. I can turn on a grid, show grid, snap to grid, and just makes things line up quite easily. There, that's better lined up. Rotate my background or my plan. There. So that makes it look a little bit more, you can also change those line types like I showed you before. Line this up a little better if you want to by shifting it over a little bit more the other way. Let me change the line types. Got to go back to my profile. Right click, modify selected features, line types. Again, I could use Control L, also set in plan. And I'm going to make it really thick, and I'm going to make it green. So it's also thick and green in plan. Let's just take a quick look at it. Oh, wait a minute, I'm looking at 3D. Let's take a look at it in here. There it is right there. And the multiplot has changed. You can also put in other like scale bars. I'll just quickly put a scale bar in before I finish, and you can put in other title block information. I'm going to put in a plan scale. Once you've created an output sheet that you like, you can save it as a screen layout. Plan over profile. And then you can reuse those screen layouts for other designs that you might have. And just retrieve the screen layout when you're ready to go into design mode. Let me just go quickly to a previous screen and then go back to my plan over profile. There, quickly brings back the previous style that I had. Thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation. Please join us in a couple weeks for another demonstration. Thank you.